What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and really Marincess Tier Gaming here, because I am doing another Dueling Book game with me on Marincess versus my opponent on Punk, Therion, you know, the adventure, the whole package, the package deck filled with just a bunch of good cards, Punk, Therion, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I really just am enjoying Marincess so much right now, which is why I keep wanting to make content on it. It's pretty much the main deck that I'm sort of working with IRL. And just spending a lot of time, you know, working with the deck and trying to find the best build and, you know, playing with the deck. And I think Marincess is in a really interesting spot because it came out recently and it really only has, you know, nationals to perform well. And then right after that, Splight and Tearalaments come out and Exo Sisters get their support. And Marincess is going to have a much harder time competing. One, because the other decks are so much more powerful than the decks we have right now. Presumably, you know, Tearalaments aren't going to be full power on release, but we know they're going to be at least decent. And then not only that, people are going to be playing, you know, D-Shifter more, Macrocosmos more, a bunch of, like, counter cards for Splight and Tearalaments that also happen to hurt Marincess very bad. So, Marincess is in a very pivotal point in their history where they're going to be good for probably about another month, and then they're going to be in the back seat for a while, in my opinion. They still could, you know, play at the Rogue level, but yeah, I just want to put out more Marincess content, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content as well. Before we hop into this game, do want to let you guys know, Discord link down below if you want to follow the channel more closely, along with all of our other social media links. Also, I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you enjoy the content you see here and you like Yu-Gi-Oh! Content, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out in what I do here on the channel. But without further ado, let's get into this Dueling Book game. So we're going to have me. At the time of recording, I was at 787 rating, and our opponent is at 1282 rating. So definitely a high rated game. And we're just going to go straight into it. And I lose the rock, paper, scissors, so we will be going second in this game. Opening hands, we're going to have Marincess Spring Girl, Pascalis, Monster Reborn, Ghost Ogre, Droplet. So we have 2 engine cards with an extender with 2 go second cards. So definitely a solid hand. And our opponent opens up Therion Stand Up, Zeoman, Ash Blossom, Lily, and Imperm. So they opened up 2 go second cards if they happen to go second, but going first, their hand is definitely weaker. I mean, Therion's often can break if you don't get things rolling, but then Stand Up also sort of adds to the brick. That's why I'm not really sure about this card. I've seen it trending upwards for sure, but adding more bricks seems kind of rough. So yeah, we're going to go ahead, and our opponent's going to normal summon the Zeoman, and they're going to activate Effect, which I think for a second, and then I decide to Ghost Ogre. Reason is, Ghost Ogre and Zeoman can be very, very strong, especially when they just like normal summon it like this, because you know they're not going to, like if they use the effect, they're not, you know, resolving the Brave Engine that turn. But also, it takes a tuner off the board, and if they open Foxy Tune, special summoning Deer Note isn't that great. It's like, honestly, better than Ashing this. Ogering is better, usually. There are ways around it, like if they have Foxy Tune and E-Telly, and they run the Fusion guy, they can still make plays, but Ogre on Zeoman is very, very powerful. Our opponent's going to add Foxy Tune. They're going to set Stand Up, they're going to set Imperm, and they are going to pass turn. Of course, activating Foxy Tune here does nothing, so they have Ash, Imperm, and Stand Up, technically, but that's not really a play or an interrupt. It's more of like a play on their next turn. So I'm going to go and I'm going to draw Effect Veiler, so, you know, another go second card. We're going to start our turn with Pascalis, activate Effect. Our opponent lets that go through. Going to summon out the Spring Girl, link off the Spring Girl into Blue Slug, and I think this is a small mistake. I like to Spring Girl with Sea Angel so that we can chain block it from Ash, but sort of just going for this play here. That is something to definitely take note of. Like, blocking Sea Angel is very important. If you want the field spell specifically, which maybe I was trying to add the field spell in this situation, you don't really want to chain block your Angel with that, because if you mill the field spell, it's gone, which I might have just been thinking I want to go grab the field spell here. But normally you want to block your Angel with an effect like Spring Girl or Blue Tang. So we're going to add back the Spring Girl, link off the Pascalis into the Sea Angel, activate the effect. Our opponent does choose to Ash Blossom this, which, you know, it stinks, but it's not a big deal. I mean, we still have 2 bodies on board that lets us keep extending. Our opponent, or we're going to summon Coral Anemone, activate her effect, and our opponent is going to Infinite Impermanence, which, fair enough. I just have to make sure I don't play anything in the middle column. I'm going to go ahead and activate Monster Reborn, special summon the Pascalis, and then from here, That was a misclick. I do not use the Pascalis effect. We're going to turn these into Coral Anemone. So there's actually 2 lines of play there. I could have normaled like the Spring Girl, or special the Spring Girl there and made Bahamut Shark and got Toad plus Triangle. Or no, we couldn't get to Triangle was the issue there. That's the problem. Like, you could go for like either leaving Anemone or going for Marbled Rock if you wanted Toad, but that's definitely not the right play. You definitely want to do this because you get so much more. So we're going to use Anemone effect to add back Pascalis, Coral Triangle effect, discard Pascalis, add, of course, Marincess Wave. Then we can finally special summon the Spring Girl, banishing the Blue Slug, because I think this version is on 2 Sea Angel, but usually, especially if you're on 1 Sea Angel, you want to make sure you leave that in the graveyard. Gonna go ahead and Link Climb from here using the... Actually, excuse me, we're gonna go Battle Phase because Bubble Reef is 2600 and this is 2700 damage, so just getting 100 more damage by going Battle Phase right now. Link those off in main phase 2 to make our Bubble Reef, and we go for Bubble Reef here because we do not have Sleepy Maiden or the Field Spell. So we are ending on Bubble Reef, which is a Heat Soul instead of our Spell and Trap Negate, which is Argonaut. So, fair enough. We mill with Spring Girl and we mill a Crossout Designator. That's not doing much. But we end with Marincess Wave, Valor, and Droplet. And Wave plus Bubble Reef is insane. But not only that, we get a Heat Soul draw in standby phase, more than likely. So we're going to activate Bubble Reef, banishing the Spring Girl and drawing Ash. The reason we banish Spring Girl is I don't like banishing this on my opponent's turn, because if I lose Bubble Reef, then I lost Anemone for no reason, which is terrible for the Triangle follow-up. So if Bubble Reef stays, then I can banish Anemone on that turn and bring it back with Bubble Reef, and I think it works out much, much better that way. Just making sure Triangle can resolve on the next turn, essentially. So we draw Ash off our Heat Soul draw, which is insane. Our opponent goes Foxy Tune. I say that's okay. Of course, we did gain 600 for banishing Spring Girl. Our opponent activates Yaman. I'm going to go ahead and Marincess Wave because making Bubble Reef unaffected is a priority, because Bubble Reef being unaffected is so good because she can get so massive attack stat wise, so that's really nice. Our opponent goes ahead and activates the Stand Up, special summoning the Lily effect, sending herself, and I think that's a pretty obvious Ash Blossom there. And our opponent is going to scoop it up. I mean, yeah, we had complete control of that game from the Ogre on their Yaman. They opened up relatively weak. Again, Therion's just having so many bricks. Like, the Therions inherently by themselves are bricks unless you can set up a graveyard, which is what the Punk engine tries to do. But in that hand, one Ogre stopped the Punk plays, so that is how it is. So we are going to go second again here in game 2. Alright, opening hands, we have Marincess Dive, Spring Girl, Ash Blossom, Blue Tang, Ash Blossom. So double Ash is, means we really have one go second card. But a lot of engine. This is a lot of really good engine cards. Like, these are probably your 3 best engine cards, to be honest. And then our opponent opens up Therion Stand Up again, Zayaman, Endless Engine, Emergency Teleport, and Solemn Judgment. So a much stronger hand from them. Our opponent's going to start off with Zayaman, and they activate the Zayaman effect, and I'm going to Ash Blossom. Now, this is an interesting choice. So my thought process was I only have one go second card. I'm just going to try to high roll it. Maybe Ash stops his play if he didn't open up any other Punk card or Emergency Teleport in this case. Having only one hand trap means I know I'm not going to stop his play, so I just go for a high roll play. Maybe this Ash stops the turn, sort of like Ogre did the last turn. But of course the difference is any extender in this hand can make Halki Fibrax. The other argument is saving this for Halki Fibrax, but that might not stop them. In fact, if they get to Halki Fibrax, it's almost guaranteed not to stop them because they've already gone through Pepega Ruler, and that is a lot of advantage. And you can't Ash the Chaos Ruler against this deck because they're going to chain block it with Deer Note. And then I don't really want to wait for the Zayaman to resolve and then search Deer Note or search Foxy Tune, because there's a chance they already have the Foxy and they're going to do Deer Note anyways. Maybe like waiting for the Foxy Tune is better there either way, but because they have Emergency Teleport, no matter where I ashed, it didn't really matter. They're going to special summon the Fusion guy, and then they're going to pay 600 to Fusion Summon, making the Carp, the good old Rising Carp. They're going to use Rising Carp effect, and they're going to special summon Zayaman and Deer Note from deck. And this is pretty much like their full combo, and I don't have any more go second cards, so we are going to get to watch Punk sort of combo for a second here. They're going to go ahead and bring back the Carp, and they're going to mill 5, so Milling 2 Therions, which is really good because, you know, they also have aggro system, or Argo system, Argyro system, Argyro system, that's a word. And then, yeah, they have 2 Therions milled off that, which is not terrible. Gonna go ahead and add Nibiru, which is definitely tough for us. They're gonna link for the zombie vampire, and we're gonna go ahead and say that's good. They're gonna mill. All they really need is a tuner, so milling that Veiler was fine for them. They milled, you know, Nibiru, Ogre Dance. We got some engine cards milled. We have a Spring Girl, which, you know, is cool, but it's not going to do too much for us. Our opponent is then going to go Halki Fibrax. Going to go ahead and special out the Jet Synchron. Going to go ahead and banish for Chaos Ruler. Make a Hot Red. Then they're going to discard for Jet Synchron. And then because they sent the aggro system, or, you know, Endless Engine is what we're going to call it, they're able to add one of their Therion monsters back, and they can go ahead and activate the Therion to summon. Going to go ahead and equip the Bull. And then they're going to set Solemn Judgment, which is the big deal here because I didn't open a trap card. So, unfortunately, not even, like, what I'm playing for is Forbidden Droplet, right? Like, I have to top deck Forbidden Droplet to not get absolutely destroyed by my turn being skipped. Because of the Hot Red Calamity guy. But because they have Solemn Judgment and I don't have a trap card, not even Forbidden Droplet isn't out, so I draw its Veiler and I instantly scoop. My turn is skipped and they have too much damage on board, and with the Therion, like, they have so much damage on board, so I am almost 100% toast there, so I go ahead and scoop it up. And I will go first game 3. Now, opening hands, I have the Cosmic Cyclone, one of, by the way, Blue Tang, Dive, Pascalis, and Gozen Match. With Gozen Match is absolutely huge. One of the best side deck cards or main deck cards for Marincess if you choose to go that route. Yeah, this card's insane because you're setting up Spell and Trap Negates, maybe a Spell and Trap Negate with an Omni Negate, and Gozen Match is very good protected by those cards, so yes. Our opponent opens up Zeoman, Lilyboria, Disc Coliseum, Ghost Ogre, and Foxytune. So they open one Go second card. But it's a very good one versus Marincess. This one on Coral Anemone hurts very, very badly. So we're going to start our turn. Going to normal summon the Pascalis, activate effect. Special summon out the Blue Tang. Blue Tang effect. Going to go ahead and send a Sleepy Maiden from our deck to graveyard. This was sort of just in case our Sea Angel gets negated. Otherwise, you could send Spring Girl. And honestly, like, sending Spring Girl is something... or I can also, what I probably am about to do, it's been a couple days since I recorded this, is make Bahamut Shark here, detaching the Blue Tang, going for Dive on the Blue Tang, and then essentially it's one card Tang combo, but we've already established Bahamut Shark, and that's sort of how your engine, there's a lot of 3-card combos in Marincess where you get Bahamut Shark on summon 3, and that's very good because it means you set up Toad before you start going for your main plays, which the engine needs to find a way to play around Nibiru because that's like the nemesis for this deck. So I'm about to overlay for Bahamut Shark, detach the Blue Tang, and then special summon out Toad, so I feel pretty safe from Nibiru at this point, and we checked for Veiler or Imperm. Those would probably be used on this card right now. So I'm going to go ahead and activate the Dive, and special summon the Tang. Go ahead and Blue Slug. Tang effect, Chain Link 2, Blue Slug targeting the Maiden. Reveal Imperm, Ogre, and Pascalis, so Blue Tang does hit here, which is very, very nice. Gonna go ahead and shuffle, and then add back the Maiden to our hands. Maiden effect, special summon, link off with Blue Slug for Coral Anemone. Anemone effect, and our opponent does decide to Ghost Ogre here. So, my thought process at this point was that, like, I could Toad negate this and keep going, but if they have any other hand trap and I used my Toad and I get stopped in that play, I end with nothing, right? So I'm really considering just letting the Anemone be destroyed, add back Tang, and get, like, Tang as follow-up with Pascalis, which is a good amount of follow-up, then setting Gozen and Cyclone, and having Toad protect the Gozen, which I know has a good chance to win me the game. Especially with Cyclone, because it could stop them from potentially adding a Regulus to their hand if they're locked into Earth through their Punk cards. So that's where I was thinking here. But the other alternative, which I'll play it forward a little bit, I think pretty long and hard about that. And I do let Ghost Ogre resolve. Now, going down the different line, and probably what I think is actually the better line, is still negating Ogre with Toad, because if they have Nibiru anyways, which was the other hand trap I was considering them having at this point, because it's really the only hand trap that does anything anymore, and we already checked for Valor and Imperm, which we know they don't have, or we can make a good assumption they don't have it, so we're not going to fall into those. We don't lose to Ash. It's only Nib, which if they have Nibiru anyways, I'm going to have to use my Toad regardless, right? So the better play, I think, is to put them on only having one hand trap, because I'm going to lose to the Nib either which way. Well, lose to it. I might not lose to it, because then they would... Like, I would still get the Nibiru, and I'd still have the Gozen. We just have to hope Gozen survives. But yeah, say we negate the Ghost Ogre, we still go through our main play, which gets us to, at this rate, where would we go? Anemone would bring back the Blue Tang, go for Sea Angel, get the Field Spell, and then we go for Triangle, Anemone add back, and then Triangle can discard Pascalis, and Bahamut Shark goes for... We get Wave, Field Spell, and Argonaut Spell and Trap Negate there, right? And that's just for Toad negating Ghost Ogre, which we lost to an additional Nibiru anyways. It might feel like I'm rambling, but that's like the thought process. I think negating with Totally Awesome on the Ogre is much better, because like the only other hand trap we lose to anyways. But my thought process was keeping Toad plus Gozen is a little better. So I'm going to add back the Tang. That took way longer to explain than I wanted it to. But what I thought was a good play keeping Toad was not as good as Wave, Argonaut, and just putting them on Ogre being their only hand trap. I guess an argument is that we still lost to Ash in a sense, because Ash is going to stop the Sea Angel or the Wave search, so we only get one or the other, but that still is, like, fine, I think. Our opponent did top deck Imperm too, so our Totally Awesome is sort of toast here. So that is another thing that did happen as a result of not negating the Ogre. Our opponent summoned Z Almond, and I'm like, that's good. I do not have a negate for Z Almond currently. They're going to add Ogre Dance. They're going to use Foxy Tune's effect, discard the Ogre Dance. Kind of interesting. That does play into Ash more than adding the Deer Note. Why didn't they... Oh, okay, so they want to pitch the Lily. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. They're going to special the Deer Note, and here I'm going to put them on Earth by activating Gozen Match. So they're locked into Earth. They can't go Chaos Ruler. If they run Alsa, they can go Alsa, but that doesn't do anything either. So it's put them on have Regulus, and they do have Regulus. They have Therion Disc Coliseum, but we do have the Cosmic Cyclone, which is going to stop Regulus from being added to hand, which is super good for us. They're going to go Battle Phase and swing Z Almond into Toad, and use the unknown effect of Z Almond to make a Punk monster gain 600 attack, putting the Deer Note at 2700, able to run over either monster now, so good on him for knowing the additional effect of Z Almond that comes up so rarely. But he's going to swing over Bahamut Shark, which I thought was interesting, because, like, I guess he thought I ran another Toad would be the reason, but... yeah, and then, I mean, from this point, we have infinite engine. Our opponent has nothing. They're still locked under Gozen. There's, like, almost nothing they can draw at this point. So we're just going to go through some Marincess plays until our opponent essentially scoops, which, honestly, I'm surprised it took this long for our opponent to sort of wrap it up, because there's just no way from this point they're coming back from this with what they have. Maybe they thought that Gozen might hurt me more. Maybe they're unaware of the matchup. I know they said reading a few times here, I believe. Yeah, he had to read a couple cards. Maybe unaware of the Marincess matchup, but, I mean, from here, there's just... this is the point of no return. Like, Marincess have already won this game. I'm going to go ahead and dive, and I think this is the point, or we actually make a Stealth Kraken, special summon the Seahorse, and this is where our opponent finally scoops. So, yeah, we were about to just put on a load of damage, and yeah, that is going to wrap it up for this game. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, leave down below what you think of the game, what you think of Marincess, or even the Punk Therion deck. Obviously, I'm uploading Marincess content, so this was sort of a biased video where I'm more talking about the Marincess side of things. But yeah, both are really cool decks, and yeah, I'm hoping Marincess does really well at Nationals. I, unfortunately, will probably not be going. So I can't do really well with Marincess, or at least attempt to. So I'm hoping it does well, because this is a very short period in Yu-Gi-Oh! History where Marincess has a chance to do well at a big event. But With all that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy. This has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.